Hi guys, my name is Chris Calcacoa Montemayor. I'm 21 and I'm from the Philippines.
Hi, Emiliana. Hello, I'm from Tonga. And
Hey, mabuhay! My name is Jerome Romero. I'm from the Philippines and I'm also 22 years old.
We will be presenting My Last Duchess.
by Robert Browning, and we're quite excited to talk more and elaborate more on this poem. It's a bit tricky for millennials to understand, but we hope through this presentation we'll be able to help you and also help us in general understand more of this poem. Okay?
Yes, hope you enjoy this, guys.
Alright.
That's my last duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder. Now Fraud Pandolf's hands work busily a day, and there she stands. Wilt please you sit and look at her, I said. Fraud Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance, but to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus, sir, 'twas not. Her husband's presence only caught that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek. Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half blush that dies around her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whate'er she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, twice all one, my favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the broth of cherries, some officious fool, broken the orchid of her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all in each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift, who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say just this or that in your discuss me, here you miss, or there exceed the mark, and if she let herself be lessoned so, no plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse earn, then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whene'er I passed her, but who passed without? Much the same smile, this grew. I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. There she stands, as if alive. Would's please you rise, we'll meet the company below. Then I repeat, the Count, your master's known munificence, is amber warrant that no just pretense of mindful diary will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed, is starting as my object. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though taming a seahorse, thought a verity which Claus of Innsbruck caused in bronze for me.
Robert Browning's background. Robert was born on May 7, 1812. He was born in Walworth in the parish of Camberwell. He was baptized on June 14, 1812 at Locksfield Independent Chapel. He was named after his father, Robert Browning, and the job of his father is a bank clerk. His mother's name is Sarah Anna, and his only sister is Saria Anna. And he later on marries Elizabeth Barrett, who is another poet and who admires his writing. Browning lived with his parents and sister until 1846 when he married Elizabeth Barrett. Barrett's oppressive father disapproved of the marriage and disinherited her. So the couple moved to Florence, Italy. Browning's family was devoted to his being a poet, supporting him financially and publishing his early works. Robert Browning was a prolific Victorian-era poet and playwright. He is perhaps best known for a poem he didn't value highly. The name of the poem is The Pied Piper of Hamelin, a children's poem that is quite different from his other work. He is also known for his long-form blank poem, The Ring and the Book, the story of a Roman murder trial. It was written in 12 volumes. Some critics believe this to be his greatest work, and which earned the poet popularity for the first time. So Robert became famous in his late 50s. His works are known for their irony, characterization, dark humor, social commentary, historical settings, challenging vocabulary, and syntax. Later on in his life, Elizabeth died in 1861, and Robert Browning and his son returned to England. In his more advanced years, Browning became widely respected. The Victorian public appreciated the hopeful tone of his poems. In 1881, the Browning Society was founded to further study the poet's work, and in 1887, Browning received an honorary DCL, or Doctor of Civil Law, from Balliol College at Oxford University. Browning continued publishing poetry, with his final work, Asolando, published on the day he died. Robert Browning died on December 12, 1899, in Venice, and is buried in the Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. 10 of Browning's famous works are Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came, Home Thoughts from Abroad, My Lost Duchess, or Assigned Topic, The Pied Piper of Hamelin, the one where Browning doesn't like the most, but gave him fame the most, Porphyria's Lover, Fra Lippi, Soliloquy of the Spanish Cloister, Andrea del Sarto, Meeting at Night, and Kaliban upon Setebos.
Okay, so my summary when I first read this poem was that I really didn't understand it, to be honest, and so I actually had a friend help me out with this. So with this poem, when we read it piece by piece, so in the first line, as said in the poem, let me see this. It says, my last Duchess. So what came to mind is that when you say last Duchess, it could be saying something that has passed or something of a previous happening or event, sort of. And so that's the reason that I also got a little hint from. So I like how it said, or from what I read, is like, that's my last Duchess painted on the wall. So especially since this poem took around the 18th century, and this was also a time in an era of where it was very expensive to get your portrait painted. And so this also, in the first line, it's somebody of power, somebody that loved this person. And so this Duchess was loved. And so as I was going along through it, there's like a lot of things I was talking about, but then as it says here in line, if you can all see in line, so that's 19, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere around the 10th, 11th line where it says her husband's presence only, which also indicates that this Duchess was married. At first when I kind of read it, I kind of thought this person was a prostitute, just because it also had indication that she was a flirt in some way, where as it goes, where it says that her mental lapse over my lady's wrist too much, so indicating that she isn't showing too much skin and that she should be showing more skin. And so, and also saying there's spots of joy and she enjoys the company and gifts of men. But then what also threw out that theory that she might be a prostitute was just because who would want to paint a prostitute more as, I think, like, I truly believe that it was possible, but the more point of it was that it was really pricey. So going on to saying that she was flashing too much skin, it wasn't anything, and that it also indicated that the poet or the narrator was saying my favor at her breast, which could also indicate that she lacks a lot of cleavage. So that's more of it. But then as we were going on more and understanding more and comparing it note to Spark Note, and I finally understood that the poem was this man that truly loved his wife, the Duchess, but then I think she was a materialistic kind of woman because she was always more impressed with men's gifts to her, and that is also an indication that how he says here, my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift, that although which also the 900 years old gift is also an indication of the Duchess's name or title, that even though with this title in hand, he still wasn't, the Duchess wasn't even impressed with it and was still like, let's say, still craving for more attention in a way. That it's, as it says here, she thanked men good, but thanks them how, I know not how. So it could also be that she was also involved in affairs that the husband was aware of, but that she wasn't. But it was more of like, let's say in modern terms, of an open relationship. But then in some way the husband was still not accepting of it. So from this, from the top to the bottom of this, it talks of how this Duchess, in my point of view, my interpretation of this is that she was naive, but the whole point of this is that it was about this man who loved his wife so much, but in some way the wife wasn't impressed, just a materialistic type of person, that she wasn't, even though she had all the men her husband could offer her all these things, which is also due, she was still not impressed and still wanted other things in life, which also not an indication, but as it goes to the ending of it, where it says much same the same smile this grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together, which could also be an indication that it's either he became too bossy and too overruling, and then it stopped. But then according to Spark Notes, it said something of killing, but it's not a real indication that maybe he died, but also that he killed his wife, but could also be that too. So it's all opened in for each other person's description and translation of how they're thinking of it. But I truly believe that this man over here, the Duke, the husband of the Duchess, really loved her. And so with all his heart, he wanted to give her everything, but then was just too concerned with her relationship with men in general, that I think she didn't want to settle. She wanted to settle for the title, but it was more of a show more than of true feelings and affections. So yeah.
In My Last Duchess, there were various literary devices and tools that were used by Robert Brown. So the following are some of the examples of the literary devices that was used in the poem. Number 1. Assonance. So assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line, such as the sound of O in her wits to your pursuit and made excuses, and the sound of I and O and of mine for dowry will be disallowed. Another literary device that was used in the poem is symbolism. So symbolism is using symbols to signify ideas and qualities, giving them symbolic meanings different from literal meanings. For example, the painting of the Duke's Last Duchess symbolizes how he objectifies women as property or possessions. White Mule symbolizes her innocence and purity. Taming a seahorse is a symbol of Duke taming his wife. Next is enjambment. Enjambment refers to the continuation of a sentence without the pause beyond the end of a line, couplet or stanza, such as the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. Another literary device that was used in the poem is consonance. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line, such as the sound of t and together down, sir, notice Neptune do, and the sound of n or n in the Count of your master's known munificence. Okay, next one is irony. Irony is a figure of speech in which words are used in such a way that their intended meaning is different from the actual meaning of the words. The title is ironic because the dead mistress is not his last lady, as he is going to marry again. Simile. Simile is a device used to compare something with something else to make the meanings clear. There is only one simile used in this poem. For example, that's my last duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is a device used to exaggerate a statement for the sake of emphasis. The poet has used hyperbole in the line 24. She looked on and her looks went everywhere. And that's an example of hyperbole. Next one is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line, such as the sound of D or D in the Dropping of the Daylight in the West and the sounds of S or S. And then all the smiles stop together, there she stands. Euphemism. Euphemism is another literary device that is used to present a polite expression used in the place of words or phrases that might otherwise be considered harsh or unpleasant. For example, much the same smile, this grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together, there she stands. So these are some of the literary devices that was used in this poem by Robert Brown, My Last Duchess.
Thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, wash your hands, and don't touch your face and your mouth.
I just hope you guys enjoyed our little presentation. It's a little bit of impromptu if you've noticed, but we're very happy that not only were we able to learn from this poem by Robert Browning, we were also able to interpret it in very millennial language and also learn from it. And as you can see, just something that I learned from this poem is that don't give up when things look hard. Obviously the language was hard, so I hope you guys don't find that hard, and that especially in this time of crisis, everyone is being positive, being optimistic, all is well. So, Ofata family.
Exactly. So if you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell button for notification. Mahalo family.
Bye!